Welcome to the CEO Camper Podcast, where we talk about being a badass CEO in business and life, but also getting out into nature more and making it really easy. I'm your host, Jessica Ryder, a 14-year veteran of camping and have 16 years of business driving teams and companies to purposeful growth under my belt. I am here to help you get out into nature, reset yourself so you can continue to be that badass CEO. So let's dive in to the CEO Camper Podcast. Today I want to dive a little bit into talking about renting an RV. So I will be perfectly honest, we have never rented an RV simply because we knew enough people that had them, we stayed in them, and then we knew what we kind of wanted, so we just jumped right in. But today I want to talk about renting an RV and what you should rent when you are, thinking about doing a weekend trip. So first and foremost, before you even decide what to rent, you need to assess your comfortability level. And here's what I mean. Are you comfortable backing a trailer up? If you're not, then maybe you need to get a drivable motorhome, right? Second, when you're considering a drivable motorhome, how big do you want to go? I mean, you could go as big as a bus, or you could go as small as maybe, 35 foot, something like that, which is roughly about the size of a, extended cab, 8-foot bed pickup truck, right? Like you could get something pretty small like that, or you could get something as long as, 45, 50, maybe even 55 feet. So you need to assess your comfortability level. And if you are not comfortable doing any of that, then you need to look at something like an Outdoorsy or other sites that you can go to and rent an RV, but the person, it's like their personal RV. It's like if I would rent out my RV to somebody, right? And a lot of those services, they will go and set it up for you if it's close to wherever their RV is, right? So it's actually something that, I considered, except that I wouldn't say that I'm a germaphobe. I just don't want people in my stuff. So, not something that we necessarily would do, but there are those services out there. There are those services where if you are not comfortable driving it or backing up a trailer, you can absolutely go to a place, again, like Outdoorsy, and find somebody that will set it up for you, run through everything, and then you guys can just go and have the most enjoyable weekend you can ever experience, right? I mean, in my opinion. So before you even consider, do I rent? Do I buy? What happens? I want to rent. I don't know what to rent. I don't know. I'm scared. I don't even know what to do. Decide, again, that comfortability level. Do you want to drive it? Do you want to pull it? Or would you rather have somebody set it up for you? And then once you do that, you really need to figure out where you're going to go. So I know last year, 2020, a lot of people, the only way for us to get out was to camp. So they would rent a motorhome, rent a bus. I didn't see too many people renting fifth wheels like I have, or travel trailers. I know they did. I just didn't see it. But more people renting, a bus or renting some type of motorhome and going across country, or, taking 2 weeks or taking even a month because they can work from the road and just, head it out. Kids were in school, but it was online, just all that kind of stuff, right? And so for them, it made sense to get a drivable one. If that is what you need, if that is big enough for your family, if that is congruent to where you want to go and what you want to see, then I would definitely get that. So I will tell you that one of the big trips that Rusty and I want to take, he always says when he retires, which is only 12 years away, but I say before then, we want to go out west, but we know that trip, I mean, some people do it in 2 weeks, but for us, we know, we don't like to get to a place and then we're only there for 24 hours. We got to pack up and move. So we want to really enjoy our time. So we know that trip's going to be a month long. Well, in order to do that, the rig that we're in now is 40 foot long, and out west in a lot of the state parks out there, we are too big. So, in a lot of national parks, maybe I said state parks. I didn't mean state parks. I meant national parks. But in a lot of the national parks, they don't always have all of the amenities that state parks do. They're not as big, most of the time, because they're trying to preserve the natural area. So we wouldn't be able to take our rig. So in my mind, we would rent a motorhome. So we would rent one that we could drive, that would have plenty of space in the back for us, and it would be small enough to still fit into normal sites within the national parks. And then we can go and see and do, everything that we want to do in that month time. So once you know, okay, I'm comfortable driving one, great. Where do you want to go, and how long is the trip going to be? Well, I want to go for a month, and I want to take the kids. Like I'm thinking of people that okay, I live on the East Coast, and for me, one of my East Coast trips would be to go to Maine, right? So maybe you live in South Carolina, and you're like, I just want to follow the coast all the way up to Maine, and then follow it back down, right? Take a month, do something like that. So I would definitely rent a motorhome and take that trip, right? So decide where you want to go, what that trip looks like, where at along the way you would stop. What are the places that you want to stop at? For instance, if I was doing the East Coast trip, I don't know that I would want to drive a motorhome through downtown DC. So what does that look like? Does it mean that you are pulling a car? Does it mean that you try to find, if DC is one of those places that you want to go to, and I would highly recommend it. I love DC. Political shit aside, it's got some amazing things. And so I would want to either stay close enough to DC where I could get on public transportation, or I would consider bringing a car that you can a lot of times tow behind, as long as the place that you're renting from allows you to do that. Some places will not. But tow a car behind or what have you, so that you have the ability, once you park your RV, you can go and do what you want. Maybe it's a scooter, maybe, it's something like that. But decide where you are going, where you want to go, and what that looks like. Again, I mean, if you're going to go to New York City, I would not want to drive a motorhome through Times Square. I just wouldn't. I mean, New York City is not something that I want to see again. I've seen it once. Great. I don't know that it's something I need to see again. So decide where you want to go. Third, you need to figure out what amenities come in the RV, right? So if you're renting from an individual person through an outdoorsy, they may have all the linens and everything already in there for you. A lot of other rental companies will also have some of the basics in there for you. But for me, again, I'm not a germaphobe. I try not to say I'm a germaphobe, but I have a hard time sleeping on hotel sheets. So, I mean, I don't bring my own sheets to a hotel when I stay in one, which is also why I like to travel in my RV, because I have my own stuff. But if somebody was staying in my RV, I would not want to sleep in the same sheets as them. I mean, I will tell you, when we take our friends with us and they sleep in our bed, I change the sheets. They get their own sheets, and then when the weekend's over, those sheets immediately get washed. I don't sleep on those same sheets. That's just the way it rolls. So if you're renting an RV, I would figure out what amenities come. Do you get towels? Do you get sheets? Do you have to bring your own stuff? List all that out so you know what to bring. And then you have to ask the questions how big is the bed? Is it a king size or a queen? Can you bring sheets from home, or are you going to have to buy your own sheets? Do you have beach towels, or, what have you? Most of the time, your basics are going to be in there, right? So the things that you need to run the RV, run the motorhome, those are going to be in there. A lot of times though, the linens and stuff are not included. So you have to bring that. So you need to ask the questions. How big is the bed? How big is the bed that the kids are going to sleep in? That kind of thing. So okay, I need to bring two sets of twin sheets, and I need to bring, a king set of sheets. Sometimes, people just don't have those sheets at home. So just, again, go to Amazon, find some cheapo sheets if you're only going to use them a handful of times. But third, figure out what amenities are in the motorhome, right? Or RV. And then from there, it's really just packing for your trip and heading out. Now, there's a ton of things that we could go into, depending on where you're going, what you're doing. I would say the number one thing not to forget is shower shoes. I know that sounds crazy, but you may pull in somewhere that you have to use the public shower. And again, kind of germy, but like, you just need shower shoes, cheapo flip-flops that you can wear in the shower. But when you're looking at those places to stay, you can kind of seek that out. And I mean, sometimes depending on the type of rig that you rent, yours may have a shower, it may not. It just kind of really depends. So if you are thinking about this lifestyle, thinking about maybe getting an RV, don't want to jump in and buy one just yet. You want to kind of rent one, feel it out. I would highly, highly suggest you rent. Go try out different ones and see how your family does in each type, right? If you are somebody that is fully comfortable pulling a camper, you have the right, vehicle to do it, and you're comfortable driving, I would go try out both styles. I would go try out a motorhome and be like, does this work for us? Is there enough space, for all the kids and dogs and pets and toys and all kinds of stuff? Or, is there not enough space? We need to go bigger. If you went and got like a travel trailer, which just is like a bumper pull, it just pulls behind your truck, as opposed to a fifth wheel where some of it goes in the bed of your truck. How much space do you have? I can tell you that, we have a 40-foot fifth wheel, and even at times for us, it feels small. It's just two of us and a dog, So really try out different styles. If you're thinking about this as a lifestyle for you, try out different styles. It doesn't hurt anything to rent, and then make sure that you like it. If it's something where like you are not going to do this a lot, maybe you're going to take 1 or 2 big trips a year, maybe it makes sense to rent one. Don't, unless you're just gung-ho and having your own thing, go rent one. If you're going to take I know 2 months a year, I'm going to one trip, one trip we're going to go out west, one trip we're going to go east, jump in a motorhome. Find a rental, jump in a motorhome. Yes, it's going to cost you probably $2,000 or $3,000 to rent for the week. And that's just, a average of what I've heard. I mean, I know some people that rented like a travel trailer and it cost them like $1,000 for a week. $2,000-$3,000, that's what you would spend in airfare, hotel, everything else for a family of 5. So why not just jump into a motorhome, have your own time, set your own schedule, get your own food, not have to eat out all the time, make your own snacks. The kids can spread out. They're not on a plane. They're not doing all that kind of stuff. Spend the money and get a motorhome. And if you're doing it 2 or 3 times a year, I would totally not buy one. I would just rent one. If you're somebody like me, though, who wants to get out as much as you possibly can, get into nature, find your connection, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, go rent one for a couple months, see how you like it, find the cool places to go, and then go buy the right one for you. I'm highly, highly encouraging you to try before you buy. This is one of those things to try before you buy, because if you buy too small, you will quickly learn that you needed something bigger. If you go, I don't really think that you can go too big. That's just my opinion. But, if you buy the wrong one to starting out, then, you're going to be miserable and you're going to end up selling it and not liking it. So rent. Make sure you're comfortable with either pulling or driving. If you're not, find some place like Outdoorsy that will set them up for you to figure out where you're going to go, what's your destination, what's your route, all that kind of stuff. If the rig that you're comfortable pulling, is it going to fit into certain areas that you want to go to? And then figure out what amenities that the camper has. If you're needing to buy a bunch of stuff, or does it come with a bunch of stuff? What does that look like? And so you can really plan your trip accordingly. Hopefully that helped, guys. If you're thinking about renting an RV, fall is my absolute favorite time to camp. We will be camping probably almost every weekend. So definitely definitely check out our camping site. It's pullthroughsites.com. I'll put the link below. If you have any other, questions, we have all kinds of tips and articles on there about renting, foods you can make. If you just need quick little things from like Amazon, like what our stuff that we use is, the things I use for workouts, everything. It's all on pullthroughsites.com. So head over there and you can get all of the information that you need. And I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you for listening today. As you can tell, I am pretty passionate about business, camping, and balancing them both in my daily life. If you want to connect with me more, I included all the links in the show notes, including my camping brand, Pull Through Sites, my personal pages, and also a really quick questionnaire to figure out how I can help customize your camping experience. I appreciate you, and I hope you got something out of the show today. If you did, please share this with someone else who needs to hear it, and leave a review. If you leave a review, I'll send you a free copy of my book, How Camping Saved My Life: The Journey from Hospital Bed to Nature. Thanks again. Talk soon.